everybody, welcome to Excel video 431. I'm Nate Moore. Just got back from an on-site visit to a new client. 2 days on site, a ton of data they used to not be able to get out of their practice management system is now in pivot tables and accessible and easy for them to now drill down and understand exactly what's going on in their practice. I'd love to do the same for your practice. I want to do one more looping example today, and what I've done here is I've created some sample data with some underscores in it that I'm going to go in and replace. And you're going to say, well, Nate, I could use find and replace and get rid of those, and you could. To keep it simple, all I'm going to do is replace these underscores with spaces. But with VBA, if you're going to write the loop, what you could do is go through and say, rather than just replace the underscore with a space, you could replace something with what's in B1 or A1 or over here in K1 or whatever. You could do a custom find and replace with what I'm going to show you today. Here's the code. So what we're going to do, I've defined these variables up at the top. Again, you don't have to dimension them or define them at the top, but just to keep things simple, I've got 3 variables to use in my VBA code that I want to explain to you. There's our range, and this is just the range that has the text I'm going to test. Those cells, C1 to 6, is what we're going to define this range to be. str text is a string, and that's the text that I'm going to test and look for the underscore, and I is just an integer that's going to keep track of how many underscores I find, how many do I need to fix. Then we're going to do a loop inside a loop. Let's start with the outer loop first. For each range in my active sheet, so we're going to do this macro or this code on the current sheet I'm on from cell C1 to C6. For each cell we find, what we're going to do is we're going to define the text to be what's in that cell. And then we're going to define I as this in string is going to find the first underscore in our text variable. So I is going to go through and say, hey, I found one, I found one, I found one. And when it doesn't find them anymore, then I is going to be 0. So the outer loop says for each cell, and then we're just going to do next. We're just going to loop through from for to next and do while, as long as we find I greater than 0, as long as I find an underscore in the text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say the text is everything to the left of that underscore, everything and a space, and everything to the right of the underscore. And I'm not too worked up that you understand exactly what I'm doing with this messy code on this line. All I'm doing is grabbing everything to the left of my text, I minus 1. Remember, I is keeping track of where that underscore is. Everything to the left of the underscore and a space, and then right everything to the right of that underscore. And again, I is keeping track of where the underscore is. Then once we fixed it, then what we do is we set I and say, all right, go find the next place in string text where there's an underscore, and we're just going to loop as long as I is greater than 0. We're just going to do this forever until we run out of underscores in our text. Every time we find one, we're going to fix it, look for another. Find one, fix it, look for another. That's our loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this baby, and when it runs, we've got rid of all of the underscores. Again, there's a simpler way to get rid of underscores without writing all that code. But if you can find and replace, now with this code, you could find and replace custom that says, hey, if it's the second underscore, do this. Or, hey, if you find an underscore or you find, a CPT code or you find a doctor or whatever, go look up this piece of information. Go look up their NPI, for example. It's a custom find and replace is what you could make this do with an outer loop for each object that we find next, and inside that, do while and loop. I hope that makes sense. It's a practical example of where you could use loops to go through a spreadsheet, find something, and make it do something else. That's what I want to say about looping. We live to tell about looping now. Stay tuned next time. I want to talk about some of the message boxes that we've used in prior Excel videos and show you what you can do with a message box and give feedback to your user when you run a macro or when you run a VBA code. Thanks for watching.